Today's video is about how I flat-mounted my Starlink internet dish. It definitely wasn't easy. In fact, it's probably the most stressful DIY project I've ever taken on. Stay tuned to see how it worked out. So if you don't know what Starlink is, it's basically high-speed internet powered by SpaceX satellites. Anywhere you can have a clear view of the sky and you're on land, you can have high-speed internet. And you can also make calls using your cell phone with it too. Most of the places I like to camp are pretty remote, without a trace of cell service, so relying on my phone doesn't really work. I also work remotely, so this enables me to even do Zoom calls. The dish itself costs about $599 US, and the monthly fee is $150, which you can pause and restart at any time. When I first got Starlink, I was so excited to try it out, and it worked fabulously right out of the box. Oh man, that's cool. But speaking of the box, it takes up quite a bit of room in a minivan. Also, I like to camp pretty contained. I like to be able to drive off in the middle of the night if I need to. And having Starlink connected by a cable and routed away from my minivan means, I guess I could drive off, but, well, it's more complicated. I tried just placing the satellite on top of the van roof, but it was really conspicuous. I was really drawing a lot of attention to myself. Even having it set up at my campsite is a bit of a curiosity. I decided to downgrade my phone since now I have this awesome internet, but I forgot that when I'm in a city like San Diego, I still have to work, and I can't really deploy Starlink in the city. So as great as it was, I had a few problems implementing Starlink. It turns out I'm not the only one who thinks that the satellite and stand are a little cumbersome. Some people have started cutting open their Starlink dishes and flat mounting them. In fact, there's even a company that will do it for you. I would have loved to go with StarMount, but I just didn't want to spend that much money on it. So I decided to do it myself. So I decided to cut into the circuit board compartment and seal it with a flat piece of something. At first, I was going to use aluminum, but when I was at the store, I realized it was way too flimsy. So I found a sheet of acrylic plastic. The acrylic is not fun to cut. I used a mask because it gives off some nasty fumes. And I had to change into a long-sleeve shirt because the little pieces were coming off and burning me. Once I cut it, then I drilled some holes for the mounting bolts. I didn't realize how brittle the material is, and I cracked the corner of one. So I need to make a mounting bracket that will go on the roof of the van permanently. So I'm using epoxy to glue the washer to the bolt, and then I'm going to glue that whole assembly to the bottom of the acrylic piece that will go on the roof. Okay, and now it's time to measure the cut for the Starlink. I used a couple different methods to measure this 1-inch height all the way around. At first I used a square, and then I used a tape roll. The tape roll ended up being a little bit higher, and I kept that measurement, but actually I think the square measurement was the correct one. And now the most frightening part is actually cutting into the Starlink. I used a router bit on my rotary tool, or a Dremel. It really didn't work that well though. It controlled the depth of the bit, which was good, but it took forever to cut. I had a hard time opening it up because my 1-inch was a little too high, and some of the motor components were still stuck inside. Right. Now they say unhook these. Oh, that's pretty easy. You just pull out from here. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, well, I think that gray thing should have been on this with the other videos I've watched. So maybe I cut just a tad bit too high. Okay, well, that was moderately frightening. But I think I did okay. I think I erred on the side of caution too much, and I cut. Well, if I could have measured just, my first measurement was probably right, just a little bit lower, and I would have cut this off. But oh well, now I don't have to take it off the other piece. So now the main thing is that it's completely level, which I didn't do a great job of cutting, as you can see. Blue line, no blue line. So the nice thing about this plexiglass is obviously you can see through it. So I can see and feel there that these corners are pretty low, so I think I'm really high here. So I'm gonna have to take that down a little bit. I really should have covered this up as I cut and sanded it because it had so much dust inside. So now I have to get the cable out of the motor, and you basically just pry it off and then you can pull it out. Well, now that I've cleaned up everything, I forgot that the cord has to come out. So I have to make one more cut. But I am putting some cloth here, which is what I should have done after I pulled everything off. So we'll see how this works. So that was a little messier than I had hoped for, but okay, I think that's gonna work. I'm gonna have to use a lot of sealant there. I messed it up there, but I think it's gonna be okay. All right, so now that I've essentially like poured a bucket of sand inside this, oh my gosh, it was so dusty. Let's see if it still works. I'm a little scared, to be honest. Okay, good access to the sky. Ooh, it's so flat. It's gonna be awesome if it works. Okay. Okay, and now the inverter. So far, not good. Shoot, guys. The light is on my router, and nothing but disconnected. Oh no. Oh wait, maybe I just haven't gone to the internet. Maybe? Oh, thank God. Searching for satellites. Oh my gosh. I just about had a heart attack. I still am not connected, but at least there's like some power. Getting online. Oh, Starlink connected. Okay, I was really pretty scared there. It's like, okay, great. I just totally ruined my Starlink. Good job, Kelly. Okay. It's gonna be okay. I've passed step 1. Yeah, online, downloading update, Phew. Okay, so now that it works, and I really like just about threw up over there. Whew. Okay, so now I need to put on this back panel. It's kind of staticky. Sure, that's not good. Can you imagine, like, in the Starlink factory, or if a Starlink factory worker is watching this right now? Oh my gosh. Be like, yeah, that's pretty much how we do it. Just vacuum everything off. Oh man. I got some bigger packs of desiccant or moisture absorbers, but they just didn't fit inside. So I had this one little pack from some other packet that I had. So I figure, well, I might as well tape it in. I don't know if it'll do anything, but worth a shot. Okay guys, I have my 3M 5200 permanent strength. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little stressed out. Okay, so I'm going to make a nice big bead, and then I'm gonna flip this, make sure my cord is good, then flip it again, and then make a bead around the side. Okay, wish me luck. Okay, here we go. You did a lot better job, right? Okay, that looks pretty good. I don't want it to drip on the board, but looks like it's got a really good seal all the way around. Okay, now for round 2. All right, smaller tip, got lucky. This is a pretty small bead, but I can get in there without making a big mess. So, well, I'm still making a big mess, but less, I suppose. Yeah. Well, I've made a mess of my desk, which should have served me right, doing this on my desk. But I think I did okay on the Starlink. I have a workbench. Why am I not using the workbench? I don't know. Okay, I hope I plugged everything in that I was supposed to plug in. Like, is this it? It's just that one cord, right? I might have done a bigger bead if I would have realized that, you know, I wasn't going to get all the way around on the outside. But, well, hopefully that'll do it. Put some weight on it. Okay, now nothing to do but wait and cross my fingers that I didn't screw up anywhere. So far so good. I have to be positive. I've done a good job so far. Haha. I'm not sure how this will play with the acrylic, but I just use it very sparingly. All right, I better stop there. I don't know how well this is going to play with the acrylic, so. So this is where I'm going to be mounting the base plate. This will be what Starlink is attached to. Ah, shoot. I was thinking that this crack I was going to put in this back corner. I was going to tape over it. It'd be okay. But I forgot that it only goes on one way. I can't turn it around. Anyway, long story short, I have to remake this. So, back to the hardware store. So I got a piece of aluminum and I'm going to try making the mounting plate out of that. And after I cut it, I had to file it smooth. The first hole I drilled traveled a bit, so after that I used a nail to poke the holes so the drill wouldn't travel. Okay, now I just need to epoxy the washers on the bottom here and let that dry. So I'm using this marine weld, stronger than 3M 5200, which is what I used on the case. I have to glue the bolts to the washers, that way the bolts won't turn when I try to screw on my nut on the top. Alright, so my new base looks like it's gonna fit just perfect, but gosh, the heat from the roof is just going straight through. It's really hot. So I'm glad I didn't put this on the base of the Starlink, because at least that plastic will hopefully mitigate some of the heat. I just hope the plastic doesn't melt. Okay guys, so I have problems. Problem number one is that I have to mount it this way because of where I put the holes, which means that the cord has to be coming out of the front. But I don't think there's anything I can do about it now. So that's just gonna have to be that. Problem number two is my aluminum is too flexy. So it gets on here just fine, but the edges flex too much, which allows this acrylic piece to like not be supported and kind of flex as well. So that's a problem, because if the acrylic flexes too much, it could break, or it could break the seal. And the seal is the only thing actually keeping the Starlink to the car. So this cannot flex. And if the roof was flat, there would be no problem. But it's not. There's all these little ridges and nothing is actually touching anywhere. So I think I have a solution though. The bad news is the washers that I glued to the acrylic didn't hold. But the good news is the washers I glued on didn't hold. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this old piece on and use my different type of epoxy and glue it onto here. And then this will provide a little bit more of a platform for the Starlink's platform so that it will flex less. And then I just have to hope that this doesn't melt in the hot sun. So we'll find out. Okay. So I'm feeling a little defeated, but also hopeful. We'll see how it turns out. Okay, I've got my plastic flush with my aluminum. So I'm a little worried that the plastic will get too hot, especially on top of the metal. So I'm going to put a little bit of white fabric in between. I have no idea if this is going to do anything, but it might give just a little bit of insulation from the bottom and maybe keep the heat from baking it. I don't know. This feels really solid now. So hopefully the strength of the aluminum and the rigidity of the acrylic. Yeah, I like that. And I added a few washers underneath the bolts as shims, and that seemed to allow everything to touch a little bit better. So the only place it actually touches the roof is in the middle and on the bolts. So that's where I'm putting double stick tape. Okay, that seems pretty solid, but not solid enough. Time for the Gorilla Patch and Seal permanent tape. Let's see, I don't want it to get on this rail because I want to be able to put my rails up in the future. So, let's see. I do want this to go over the nut, over the bolts. Well, not bad. It's on now. Well, I'm pretty happy that this Goo Gone gets it off the scissors. That gives me hope that if I ever have to take it off, I'll be able to get it off. Maybe. All right. Well, that's not going anywhere. I have a little bit of goop on the bolt from the tape. Yeah, this tape is just, man, it's good, but it's a little bit nasty. Okay, my mount is complete. I think I'm going to leave this side open. I don't really want to tape it to my solar panel, and I do want that little air gap to be able to still give me some air under my solar panel here. So I think it'll be okay. And I like the aluminum plastic combo so much that I decided to put a piece of aluminum on the Starlink as well, just to keep the plastic from flexing at all. I'm much happier with how this feels. This is much less flexy. Just has a much better feel. Can't see underneath anymore, but whatever's under there I can't do anything about now anyway, so I'm glad I could see it to put it on. Okay, I've got one more step. So I think everything is super secure so far. The bolts are like not gonna come off the car at all. The only weakness is my seal here. So if this seal gets loose, that's the only actual thing holding the Starlink onto the car. So, and this looks really bad on the roof because you can really see it. It's super bright white. Doesn't look good. So what I'm gonna do, I thought about getting some like trim channels and putting some metal, but it's kind of a weird height. It's like a little over an inch. And then I'd have to figure out how to secure that down. So instead, I'm gonna go back to my trusty patch and seal tape, and I'm going to try to tape around this like so. And it's really important that I don't go too high because I don't want to compromise the satellite at all here. So maybe not even go over, maybe just go there. Yeah, this is gonna be tough. Okay. All right, we want the clean edge on the top here. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be really hard. Ooh. All right, so step one is just get it on the edge. Oh my gosh, you guys. I can't believe that turned out as well as it did. Dang. Wow, that was lucky. Okay, and I'll show you something. There's a tiny little hole where the cord goes in, where it didn't completely seal around. And I've been debating whether or not to fill it or not, because I go to really extreme elevations. Sometimes I'm actually below sea level. If I go over to the Sierra Mountains, I can be up to like almost 10,000 feet, actually in the same day. So I've been a little worried about elevation changes. So I think I'm gonna leave that little hole. I'm gonna have tape around it. I don't know, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Am I an idiot for leaving a hole, or is that the right thing to do? I don't know. Oh my gosh, it's finished. Doesn't that look better? And now I have a better seal. Nice stable base, not bendy. One last finishing touch. I think this kind of looks pretty bad, so let's see if I can do this without making it look worse. This is just regular duct tape. That looks better. I haven't figured out the cable just yet, how it's going to go inside, but it won't stay permanently up. I will be able to remove it. Okay, plugged into my router. Inverter is on. I'm kind of parked under this big tree, so I don't know how that'll be, but okay, I'm gonna let it set up for a minute. I'm so nervous. I really, 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 really hope it still works. Oh my gosh. Connected. Oh my gosh. Uh-oh. Oh, it does this. Does this a lot. Okay. It's connected! Oh my gosh! It's working! Oh, even under a tree, can you believe it? Oh, there we go. Look at that. Yes, 116 and maybe 10 upload. Oh my gosh, I did it! I can't believe it, it's working. I did not ruin my very expensive Starlink. This was such a stressful project. Like, every step was like, okay, don't mess it up. There is no going back. Oh man, look how good it looks. I still have to route that cord in through the back, but It's wide on top, of course. But it looks pretty good. It does not look like Starlink. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. This has been like a week-long project of going to the store, being stressed. This is so awesome. This is really, really great. I'm so relieved. Okay, and now to secure it down, put a nut on top. So I'm gonna put a washer on top. Oh, and a lock washer. Oh yeah, just one turn with the ratchet. And just barely reach this back one. I also have a ratchet here that I can reach it. And they're pretty snug. And that washer is hopefully distributing the pressure a little bit more evenly. So now, boy, that's pretty darn snug. There's not even anything for the wind to catch under. I'm really happy with how that came out. Okay, so I'm out camping. I'm in a beautiful spot. I don't know if you can see. Oh, it's an amazing view. And let's see how the Starlink works. This is my first time using it on a real trip. So I had planned to run the cord in through my back, but I forget that when I'm traveling, you know, I've got blankets and all kinds of stuff back here. Oh, and I forgot to show you my box. So I found a box that fits it pretty good. It's a little big, but it was the closest thing I could find. So I have some padding in here. So I'm not sure that I want to open my back door because everything's going to fall out. So I might just run the cord through my window. You know, it's not that bad. I mean, sure, if I was in the city, but out here, I think it's fine, and I can just easily get to it. I need to still do some modifications to my connector. I think it's waterproof. It's got some rubber grommets, and I don't know, I could hide it under my solar panel a little bit just while I'm out here if it's gonna sprinkle. But I need to look into upgrading that into a real waterproof connector. Yay, I'm online in the middle of this. Isn't this awesome? So I still have a few bugs to work out, but I think overall it is a great success. I can mount the Starlink on my roof. I can take it off. I can mount it somewhere else. I can put it somewhere else in a clear area if I need to. And I can drive with it. I don't think I'll drive on the freeway with it, but you know, from campsite to campsite or around small little towns, I can drive with it. I can take it off in the city so that it won't get stolen. And it's pretty low profile. You can hardly see it. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I'll keep an eye on everything and show you how it weathers the storms. I think Starlink is super cool and I'm so happy I have it. And now it's just going to be even better. I like to pretend I'm retired, but I'm actually not. So I actually do have to work. But now I can really work wherever. wherever I can see the sky, or wherever that can see the sky, I can move it. So that's really cool. All right, well, thank you for sticking with me through my harrowing adventures. If you have flat mounted your Starlink, let me know how it went. Hit the subscribe button to be notified of videos, and I'll see you guys later.